Although you cannot explain it with logic, you feel it. Something in the air has changed, something in your body, in your perception. August did not start like any other month. There is a different vibration, such as a subtle echo that crosses the surface of reality and is installed deep in your conscience. People around you continue with their routine, as if nothing happened, but you know it, you feel it. It is as if an invisible layer had detached from time, as if the days were longer or dense. It is no accident. What happened during the July new moon was not simply an astronomical phenomenon. It was an energy activation point that opened a completely new cycle. You feel a tiredness that does not come from the body, but from the soul, a kind of inner break that forces you to look in. It is a strange silence, one that accompanies you even when you are surrounded by noise. It is not sadness, it is not boredom, it is an internal call. It is the universe inviting you to listen to you, and in that silence, you begin to perceive things that previously went unnoticed. Emotions that emerge without warning, thoughts that are repeated as signs, dreams that seem so real that when you wake up it costs you to believe that they did not happen. Some would call them coincidences, but you know they are not. They are messages, they are key. Even if you have no clear answers, a part of you can no longer ignore it. You have begun to detach yourself from people, situations, ideas. You no longer react the same. Something in you is changing. It is a silent but irreversible process. You are crossing a threshold, one that does not return. And right now, a part of you remembers. It is not an idea, it's a certainty. Something deep has been activated, and all you need to do is not to look back. What began as a slight sensation intensifies with every day that passes. Now, it is not just the time that seems distorted. It is your body that begins to talk to you more clearly. Fleeting pain, pressure in the chest, electricity in the neck or in the hands. It is not a disease, it is not common fatigue. It is your energy field readjusting, adapting to a frequency that was asleep. You may feel that something inside you is stretching, releasing its shape. And right in the midst of all this, dreams become intense. They bring symbols, faces, landscapes that arouse an inexplicable nostalgia in you, as if your soul was remembering. You get up with an accelerated heart, with images that refuse to disappear. They are not common dreams. They are doors. Some show decisions to make, others reveal wounds that need to close. All this happens while the world continues as if nothing. You notice that people begin to move away or behave strangely. Some connections dissolve, others are tested. It is not punishment, it is cleaning. The universe eliminates what no longer vibrates with you. At the same time, new people appear. Some feel like old friends. Synchronicity becomes frequent. Repeated numbers, exact phrases, effortless situations. All this tells you, you are being guided, you are not alone. Although the road is uncertain, even if you do not understand everything that happens, a part of you already decided to continue. That silent commitment with yourself is the clearest sign that the transformation has already begun. While this transformation unfolds, you begin to feel that your mind no longer responds as before. Firm beliefs begin to stagger, a need to understand who you are beyond everything learned. It is not a crisis, it is an openness. The universe is taking your veils off to show you the essential. The deep questions become constant. Why am I here? What does all this mean? What should I release to advance? In the midst of this, there's an unexpected desire for silence. Not only external, but internal to listen. Social networks, news, external voices lose effect. You begin to protect your energy, filter, choose better. This impulse is not isolation, it is preservation. Your soul needs space to grow without interference. At the same time, the body sends signals. Appetite changes, altered sleep, sudden fatigue. Do not fight it. Listen to your body. Your biology is adapting. You may want to connect with nature, walk barefoot, breathe air. Look at the sky. That is not accidental. The earth has a vibration you need to stabilize. And while you do all this, you begin to remember things you didn't live in this life, intuitions you cannot explain. It is as if an ancient memory was activating. You have no evidence, but you know it. And in that silent knowledge, in that inner trust, there is the true guide. No matter what the world says, even if others do not understand, you know, you feel, and that is enough. Because who has started waking up can no longer sleep. And while the external reality seems to follow its normal course, something within you begins to vibrate differently. The decisions that seemed simple now require more reflection. The words you hear have a deeper echo, and the looks of certain people go through you as if they carry hidden messages. You realize that you cannot ignore what you feel. This growing sensitivity is not a weakness, but a new form of perception. Time seems to stretch or compress according to your emotional state. Some days fly, others crawl, as if the universe were forcing you to stop and look closely. The mirrors become portals. They not only reflect your image, but fragments of what you were and what you can become. It is a constant rediscovery. You begin to notice patterns that are repeated, thoughts that return, emotions that intensify, memories that move you deeply. And all that is not confusion, it is cleaning. It is as if your soul were emptying old drawers to make room for the new. Moments of extreme lucidity arise in the midst of chaos. Clear ideas appear out of nowhere, decisions made with certainty. That is pure intuition, guiding you without logic or external approval. You become more selective with your energy, more careful with your words, quieter with your plans. It's not fear, it's wisdom. You have understood that some processes are sacred and must develop in silence. Something big approaches. You don't expect it with anxiety, but with reverence. Even surrounded by people, the journey is yours, unique, inevitable. You are crossing the threshold, and nothing can stop what has already been activated within you. You begin to understand the chaos. It was a precise dance of energies seeking alignment. Every loss, discomfort, or intense emotion held meaning. What you once avoided now reappears not to hurt you, but to be seen and healed. It's not easy. Sometimes you disarm completely. But in that disorder, a new version of you is forming. One without masks, one based in truth. You value silence, trust the process, and notice how some people fade and others arrive at the right time. The universe reflects your inner world. Walks, songs, or conversations become confirmations that you're not alone. You're guided by something beyond logic. Your sensitivity detects what is real, and you lose tolerance for superficiality. You say no without guilt, recognize your value, release trust, and flow more naturally. Life begins to realign. A new layer of self-understanding emerges. Something inside you feels grounded, a part of your soul has returned home. You observe your thoughts, detach from emotional chaos, and release old patterns. It brings a strange but freeing lightness. You no longer cling to stories or define yourself by wounds. You move with presence. Everything becomes a ritual. Drinking water, feeling the sun, hugging trees, it's medicine. Nature becomes sacred necessity, not an idea. Your intuition sharpens. You anticipate things, perceive silences, receive answers without explanation. You no longer need proof because the inner voice is strong. Even fear doesn't paralyze you anymore. You go through it. You've stopped surviving and started living. August 3rd isn't a date. It's a frequency moving you into fullness. You feel a rhythm in everything. Even what you don't understand feels purposeful, and you surrender to that rhythm. Not as someone giving up, but as someone aligning with a higher force. The transformation is not a destination. It's a new way of living, and you have already begun this journey, a path of no return where your soul leads the way. And now, at this point on the road, something you did not expect to emerge, a deep sense of peace in the midst of chaos. It is not the superficial calm that is obtained by avoiding problems, but a serenity that is born from the recognition that everything has its moment. You realize that you do not need to have all the answers, that it is fine not to understand everything right now. This acceptance deactivates anxiety and allows you to breathe more freely. It is as if the soul expands by releasing the need to control everything. The energy that moved from the new moon of July and intensified on August 3rd has not decreased. On the contrary, it has become more subtle, more internal, but equally transformative. You no longer need external validation to know that you are changing. You see it in how you answer, in what you choose, in what you no longer tolerate. Your choices become more aware, more aligned with your essence. Even in the small details, the food you consume, the words you pronounce, the silence you choose. And in that process, you begin to see how other people are also changing. Not everyone expresses it in the same way, but you can perceive in their eyes that something in them is also waking up. This collective consciousness creates a shared energy field, an invisible network that sustains you even when you think you are alone. You begin to value real connections, deep conversations, sincere looks. You stop investing your energy in the superficial because you know that every second counts and that your attention is a sacred resource. Intuition becomes a compass. Gratitude becomes silent prayer, and trust becomes your natural way to exist. You accept that there will be shadow days, but you no longer fear darkness because you know that every shadow reveals a light that you had not yet seen. And so you keep walking with the most open heart, the most acute senses, and the most present soul. This is the real awakening, the one who does not need noise, but presence. And you are awake. As you advance in this process of silent transformation, you begin to notice a new perception of time and space. You no longer live the days with the same linearity of before. There are moments that seem to expand and others that disappear without a trace. This is not confusion. It is a reconfiguration of your conscience. You are releasing the rigidity of the external clock to enter synchrony with the internal rhythms of your soul. At this stage, many experience a kind of separation between the old identity and the new version emerging. You may feel that you no longer fit in certain environments, that some conversations lose meaning, that things you loved now leave you empty. It's not that something is wrong. You are changing, and your vibration is calling for a new stage. This temporal mismatch can feel like a vacuum, but if you observe it, you'll see its space opening for the new. It can also manifest as an urgency to purify, clean the house, let go of objects, change food. The body and physical environment respond to the call of lightness. Your soul is preparing the ground to build a life more aligned with your essence. In the midst of this, old emotions resurface, not to punish you, but to be seen with new eyes. They no longer drag you down. Now you witness them. And by doing so, you integrate, heal, and let go with gratitude. This is a key moment to stay anchored in the present. Conscious breathing, short meditations, walks in nature, or journaling emotions, simple tools hold great power now. The essential doesn't need ornaments. The key now is trust, not just in the process, but in yourself. This is not a crisis. It is a birth. Even if you can't see where you're headed, your soul does. You just have to keep walking, step by step, with presence and faith. And just when you thought the change had reached its maximum point, something even deeper begins to emerge. It is a subtle but powerful sensation, the expansion of your perception beyond the known limits. You begin to capture hidden intentions, unpasted energies, vibrations behind the words. Your intuition is refined, your energy field becomes more receptive, and everything you previously ignored now seems to shout its message clearly. You can feel someone's emotional state when entering a room, or receive answers to your questions in the form of repeated symbols, numbers, or phrases that appear casually. This sensory awakening is not imagination. It is the activation of your multidimensional capacity. At times, it will seem to you that you live in a movie where everything is orchestrated to show you something. And it is so. The universe has stopped whispering and now speaks clearly. But he doesn't do it with words. He does it with synchronies. At this stage, it is normal for you to feel more sensitive to external stimuli. even that you need to isolate yourself to protect your energy. It is not flight, it is self-regulation. Your vibratory field is adjusting, and like a fine instrument, it needs silence to refine. This refinement also brings a clearer awareness of your purpose. What seemed diffuse before begins to take shape, not necessarily with great revelations, but with small certainties that accumulate and build an address. The internal call becomes stronger, and although you cannot explain it with logic, you know what paths you can no longer follow, and which ones you should start traveling. It is possible that new talents, interests, or even key people appear that activate sleeping parts of your being. You are remembering your mission, not from the mind, but from the soul. And that memory is so familiar that you can't ignore it. You are being bornly pushed towards your deepest truth. It is no longer about adapting to the world, but to create the world, if from your vibration. The change is no longer something that happens to you. It is something that you are choosing to live, consciously, with courage, and with a certainty that is born from the deepest of your spirit. And so we reach the threshold of a new understanding, the recognition of your co-creator power. It is not an abstract idea. It is a force that begins to become tangible in your day-to-day. Every thought, every emotion, every word you choose to pronounce is molding your reality more than you ever imagined. You can no longer afford to act from unconsciousness, because now you know that the universe responds immediately to your vibration. If you vibrate in fear, you will attract confusion. If you vibrate in gratitude, you will attract expansion. This is the 10th sign, the full awareness of your energy responsibility. It is not a burden, it is a freedom, because when you understand that everything you experience is a reflection of your internal frequency, you also understand that you can transform everything from within. You start choosing your thoughts with more care, to surround yourself with people and environments that nourish your light, to make aligned decisions, not with what you should do, but with what your soul asks you silently. This power is sacred and is accompanied by deep humility, because you know that you are not the only one going through this awakening. There are thousands, millions tuning this same vibration, rebuilding the world from within out. It is possible that experienced faster manifestations, signs that materialize almost instantly, as if the linear time were yielding to the frequency of the heart. You are no longer waiting for things to happen, you are making them happen with your clear intention, your focused energy, and your openness to the unknown. This is the time to act with faith, to firmly sustain your dreams, and understand that the universe does not reward effort, but authenticity. Everything that is true, for you will have strength, fluidity, and resonance. Everything that no longer corresponds to your evolution will simply fade. And that's fine. You are learning to walk as a soul awake, knowing that every step you take is a silent statement of your creative power. This is your era, this is your time, and the entire universe accompanies you. You have reached a point where you no longer need so many signs to know that you are on the right path. There is a different calm that accompanies you, a silent certainty that does not depend on external tests. Your soul has pierced so much that it now recognizes the terrain through which it steps. And although the environment can continue to be uncertain, within you there is a deep anchor. You no longer react as before, you no longer break for the same thing, because there is something in you that has tightened gently, like a rock polished by water. You begin to notice that your decisions flow without such doubt, that your limits are clearer, and that old wounds no longer have the same power to sabotage your present. You feel that something has aligned, not from the mind, but from the heart. A part of you has stopped fighting, and that does not mean surrendering, but trusting. You trust your process, in your rhythm, in the wisdom that inhabits you. You have learned to listen to you without judging you, to give you breaks without guilt, and to advance without waiting for validation. And that is where true freedom begins. When you no longer need permission to be who you are, you may still feel tired, because the transformation exhausts. But there is also a new force that turns on within you. It is no longer about looking for answers outside, but about holding the frequency you chose. You have released layers, characters, expectations, and in that empty space, your true essence begins to emerge. What I stopped before now feels alien. What hurt you now only reminds you of how much you have grown. You are entering a stage where your light no longer needs approval to shine. It is simply, and that is enough, because you have understood that your path is not measured by speed, but by the depth with which you live every step. You are starting to feel a deep disconnection with everything that no longer resonates with your soul. And although that may seem lonely, it is actually a sign of evolution. It is as if your frequency had risen, so that certain people, places, or situations simply could no longer reach you. It is not about rejection or judgment, but a natural separation caused by internal growth. You have changed, and that is why the world that you used to feel small, limited, alien, and that can be uncomfortable at the beginning, because there is a part of you that still wants to fit, which still remembers the past with some nostalgia. But you can't force yourself to fit where you don't belong anymore. This stage invites you to honor that temporary vacuum as a sacred space, because that is where the new version of you is brewing. It is in that silence where your soul recovers his voice, his center, his power. You are not losing anything. You are releasing what no longer vibrates with you. You are letting relationships based on need and not authenticity. You are closing cycles that no longer nourish you, even if they have been important at the time. You are choosing to be with you, without noise, without masks, without distractions. And that, although challenging, is one of the purest acts of self-love. You feel that the universe is repositioning you, aligning with new souls, new experiences, new purposes. But before receiving, you have to empty. Before building, you have to clean. And you are doing it, although sometimes you don't know how. You are being guided by a greater intelligence, an energy that understands your process better than your mind. Therefore, he trusts. Do not hurry to fill the space you are cleaning. Let yourself be there, feeling, breathing, integrating, because that clarity is born from that stillness. And when the new arrives, you will receive it from such a high vibration that you will no longer have to ask to stay. He will simply resonate with you and stay on his own. You have reached a point where you can no longer betray yourself. You cannot continue pretending that everything is fine when within you there is a revolution of emotions, signs, and messages that cry for being heard. Your body knows it, your soul begs you, and the universe shows you again and again in each synchronicity that appears in front of you. You can no longer ignore the signs that come in the form of inexplicable tiredness, of relationships that collapse, of opportunities that close without apparent reason. All that is not punishment, it is redirection. It is the way in which superior energy tells you, this is no longer your path, there is something else for you. But to see it, you must take away the bandage of your eyes, the one that you placed for fear by custom or loyalty to a past that no longer exists. You have postponed your truth too long. You have silenced your voice to not bother, not to lose, not to disappoint. But in that forced silence, you also lost parts of you. And now it's time to recover them. It is time to choose you, even if that implies leaving behind the known. It is time to walk towards the uncertainty with the confidence that you will be sustained. Because the universe does not reward perfection, it rewards authenticity. And when you choose yourself, the universe also chooses you. When you listen to yourself, life answers you. You don't need to have everything clear. You just need to take the first step from the heart. Stop, resist, and start flowing with what really resonates with you. You are not alone, even if it seems. You are being accompanied by an invisible force that honors every decision you make from the soul. It is not easy to break with what you have been, but it is necessary to become what you are destined to be. And that destination is much closer than you think. You just need to trust you a little more. You have felt lately that something inside you is changing without you can explain it with words. It is not a simple sensation. It is a deep transformation that begins to collapse old internal structures. The things you used to tolerate it before now weigh. The empty conversations exhaust you. Dense environments oppress you, and old habits simply no longer make sense. It is as if your soul was screaming for a new frequency, a higher vibration, more consistent with who you really are. And no, you are not crazy. You are waking up. What you are feeling is the echo of a cosmic call that has reached your energy field to activate, to shake, to remind you who you are beyond the conditions. That is why you cost you to sleep, so you feel that pressure in the chest. So intense dreams appear, visions, repeated numbers, impossible coincidences. They are codes, messages, doors that open so you can cross towards a new timeline where you no longer need to load with the weight of what you were, but you must be willing to release. Release the character you built to fit. Release the fear of disappointing. Release the need to have everything under control. Because life, when it really calls you, does not ask you permission, pushes you. It shakes you. It forces you to wake up even when you don't feel ready. And that is the real quantum leap. Trust when everything inside you shouts by certainty. This stage is for brave, not because you have to fight, but because you will have to give up what you cannot explain, what can only be felt. You are crossing a portal, one that will take you to a higher level of consciousness, freer, more authentic, and the only thing that is asked is not to resist, because on the other side of that fear, there is a version of you waiting to be lived, a version that already knows how to fly. There are moments on the spiritual path where everything seems to stop, as if the universe put you in pause without explanations. And although it seems that nothing happens, in reality, that is where the most important thing happens. You are being comforted from within. It is a fertile silence, a calm that precedes the great jump. Do not despair if the answers do not arrive, if the signals seem to have been extinguished, if you feel disconnected. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are in the middle of a deep alignment that requires your absolute delivery. This is the time where you are asked to trust more than ever, even without having guarantees, because it is just when the ego no longer finds reference points that the soul begins to guide. What you are living now is not a setback. It is a recalibration. You are leaving behind a frequency that no longer holds you. That is why it hurts. That's why tired. So it seems that everything old resists leaving. But do not fight the process. Note it. Honor every emotion, every discomfort, every tear that falls without apparent reason. They are memories that are being released. They are layers that come off to reveal your purest truth. This is the time where your faith becomes your greatest anchor, where your breathing becomes prayer, where your presence is medicine. You don't need to do more, just be. Be with you, with your feeling, with your energy. You are crossing an invisible threshold that many do not dare to see, but you do, because within you there is a light that has decided to never go out again. And that light, although sometimes trembles, is stronger than any darkness. Keep walking, even if you don't see the way, even if you don't listen to the guide, even if everything seems uncertain, because every step you take from the heart, it is a step towards your true house. There is something inside you that no longer fits what you used to be. It is a subtle but constant sensation, as if something invisible, being pushing towards a new version of yourself. It is not just a change of thoughts, it is a root transformation. Your old beliefs begin to crumble. Your habits no longer fill you. Your relationships become more intense mirrors. You are not losing control. You are releasing what was never yours. It is natural to feel confusion in the midst of this process. The soul expands, and with it, everything that no longer vibrates in your frequency begins to fade. It's uncomfortable, yes. It is also sacred. Each discomfort is a signal, each discomfort an invitation. Can you feel it? You are being called to stop surviving and start living from your truth. You can no longer ignore the signs, the dreams that shake you, the numbers that are repeated, the feeling that there is something else waiting for you. And there is, but you can't get there loading with everything old. This moment is an energy crossing, a vibratory door that only opens with authenticity. You do not need to know all the steps, just be willing to give the next. And that next step is to release the character, expectations, masks. It is allowing you to feel deeply, cry if necessary, breathe slower, return to the body. The soul speaks short, and only in silence you can listen to it. Don't hurry, but don't stop either. This is not a linear path. It is a spiral of evolution. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you stop, sometimes you feel you go back. But everything is part of the same awakening. Trust your rhythm, in your pauses, in your processes. You are closer than you think. And even if you still see it, clearly you are going back to you, because this trip, more than a destination, is a return. The return to your most luminous essence. You are crossing a threshold that very few dare to cross. It is not an external change what you are experiencing. It is a deep recalibration of your being. The universe is not interested in the version that you show the world, but in the vibration that is eager. When you are alone with yourself, that frequency is what is being adjusted now. Everything that is not authentic is falling apart. Do you feel it? That is why you feel more sensitive, more conscious, even more tired. Your body is also releasing memories, ancient energies that no longer take place in the new reality you are building. Do not fight that. Every tear, every sigh, every silence is cleaning the way. You are remembering who you are, beyond the name of the role of the past. And that memory is powerful, because when you remember, healthy, and when you heal, you inspire. You may still not understand everything you are living, but that does not make it less real. The transformation is not always noisy. Many times it occurs in the most subtle details, in the way you talk to yourself, in the decisions that you no longer make for fear, in the light you recognize in others, because it already begins to wake up in you. This moment is no accident. If you are listening to this, it is because your soul asked. And now you are here, just where you should be. You do not need to run, just remain present, breathe. Go back to now. Everything is changing, yes, but you are not alone. You were never. The forces of the universe hold you, even in your chaos. The energy that moves around you is wise and knows exactly how to guide you. You just have to trust, even if you don't see the full map, because the guide is already inside you. And now that you have come here, breathe deeply. You have crossed a trip, not only of words, but of energy, of soul, of conscience. This is not the end of a video, it is the sacred closure of an inner cycle that only you understand. What you heard was not information, was activation. Each phrase touched sleeping parts of your essence. It removed memories, caused questions, opened portals. And if something inside you moved, broke, or illuminated, it is because it was the exact moment for it to be. Remember this. You did not come to this life to repeat patterns, to obey imposed rules, or to fit in others. You came to break, to free, to rebuild yourself from the soul. Although sometimes you feel that you don't know the way, He trusts. Your soul does know, and He is waking up more force than ever. You may not have all the answers today, but you have something more valuable, the connection with yourself. Take care of it. Listen to it. Honor everything you have felt, because every emotion is a teacher, each silence is a guide, and every sigh is a message that only you can interpret. The world can continue to turn in its noise, but you have chosen the sacred path of awakening, and that already changes everything. May this energy accompany you, protect you, and remember you in every step you have, that you are not alone, that you are part of something much bigger, that the source that created you has never separated from you. You had only forgotten, and now you are remembering. Thank you for allowing you to feel, for allowing you to listen, and for being here. This message has already fulfilled its mission. The rest, your soul takes it.